Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and taking time out of your day to hang out with us. But on today's show, we're going to be diving into the Vikings official depth chart that they released before Week 1 versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll be going over every single position group and kind of previewing how I think that group will specifically play versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But speaking of that game, guys, watch party seasons are back. We are going to be live for the Vikings-Buccaneers game 30 minutes before kickoff, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you guys are there. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications because if you guys know how we get down on our watch parties, it's a ton of fun. And Week 1, I'm going to be bringing the juice, and I know you guys are as well. So if you guys see this thumbnail on your YouTube page, make sure you click on it, come hang out with us, and also make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Let's start it off with the QBs, and no shocker here. Kirk Cousins is QB1. They have Nick Mullins listed as QB2 and Jaren Hall listed as QB3. No real shockers here. I did expect Nick Mullins to be QB2. Jaren Hall looked really good in the last preseason game versus the Cardinals, but I just think, if the Vikings had to still go win one game right now, if Kirk would have to miss time, I feel like they're choosing Mullins. And just specifically about Kirk, I think Kirk's going to have an unreal just overall season. First time since his time in Minnesota that he has the same offensive play card, adding a guy like Addison, adding a guy like, having Hawkinson for the whole year, even just adding a guy like Josh Oliver. I think Kirk's going to have probably one of his best statistical seasons of his career. So I'm super excited to watch the QBs get after it. But let's kick at the running backs. Again, no big shocker here. Madison running the RB1 reps. And then Ty Chandler at RB2. And then Kene Wangu is obviously on the IR. He's missing the first 4 games with obviously Myles Gaskin and C.J. Ham as well. But I do fully expect Madison to be a workhorse Week 1 versus the Buccaneers. Personally, I want to see Ty Chandler get a lot of reps. I'm a big Ty Chandler guy. But I do think for maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be Madison getting 20, 30, or hopefully 30 carries if the game script goes well. But he's going to be the workhorse. I think it's going to be a lot of Alexander Madison. And then maybe later on in the year, I think it could be Ty Chandler as well. But fully expect a big workload for Madison this weekend. Maybe he ends up getting 2 tutties or something like that. He's obviously that bowling ball around the goal line. But that's the way the Vikings running backs are shaping up right now. But receivers, no shocker here besides, maybe KJ Osborne, obviously being wide receiver 2. And then Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, and Brandon Pohl following behind him. I do expect the Vikings to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, so I do expect to see, if the Vikings are going 2 wide receivers, it should be Jefferson and KJ in that group. But overall with this group will dominate throughout the entire season. We're going to go through previews every single week, and we're going to say, where do the Vikings have the advantage? It's always going to be at that wide receiver position. And I know I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but Week 2, the Vikings obviously have the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you guys remember last year, Darius Slay probably had one of the best games out of a corner last season against Justin Jefferson. So I'm already expecting the sort of revenge game for Jettas in Week 2. But overall, this group, it's going to dominate, especially once Jordan Addison starts to get his feet wet a little more. And obviously, KJ Osborne, he's still a young guy. He could take another step here heading into his year 4 season. Obviously, Jefferson. He's gotten better every single year. But who knows? Maybe even a guy like Jalen Naylor could have a touchdown or have a big play. We obviously know he's that explosive, deep threat. So, yeah, Vikings wide receiver group, just overall excited to watch them play. But if we kick at the tight ends here, this is the group that I'm probably most excited to watch kind of shock Vikings fans. Because I feel like most people don't understand, Josh Oliver's impact. He is the best run-blocking tight end in the league. And pairing him up with T.J. Hawkinson, I think it's going to do wonders for the Vikings offense. They are very similar to a yin and a yang, Oliver, the big ground and pound tight end, old school, smash mouth football. Then you got TJ Hawkinson, the pass catching, the Shannon Sharp blend, the Travis Kelce blend. So to see those guys complement each other really well, that's something I'm very excited to watch. And obviously Nick Muse and Johnny Munt follow behind those guys. But the big boys in the trenches, no shockers here in terms of the starting offensive group. Again, I got to see Ed Ingram this weekend. Ed Ingram's a guy where year 2, coming out of LSU, second-round pick, take that next step. And then if he starts playing well, and let's just say Bradbury keeps getting a little better, this Vikings offensive line could be sneakily very, very good. It's just you still have question marks. If Ezra Cleveland could ever become more consistent, if Garrett Bradbury could become a little more dominant, and if Ed Ingram could take that step up, could be a really solid unit because you know what you have with the tackles in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. But in terms of the backups, Schlotman will be behind Bradbury. Oli Udoh will be behind O'Neill. Questenberry behind Darrisaw. And Blake Brandel kind of as the swing, kind of play-it-all type of backup offensive lineman for the Vikes week 1 versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, hey, I want you guys to grade the Vikings or give the Vikings offense a Madden rating. Obviously, this is the better side of the football for the Vikings. I'm probably sitting at mid to high 80s, obviously with question marks around the interior offensive line. And, Kirk's a really solid quarterback, but by no means is he top 5 on that Joe Burrow level. So I'd probably give the Vikings, I'll go an 88. But let me know what you guys think. Give the Vikings offense a Madden rating. Scale it 1 through 99. All right, let's stay in the trenches, but kick at the defense here. So they put this out as – so they had the Vikings having 2 DNs, a nose tackle, and then 2 edges. So keep that in mind here when you're reading this. But the starting 2 DNs they put as Jonathan Bullard and Dean Lowry, and then Jaquelin Roy backing up Dean Lowry. At the nose tackle spot, they have Harrison Phillips, Khyiris Tonga behind him. And then the 2 starting edge rushers are Marcus Davenport and Daniil Hunter with Patrick Jones, Wonnum, and Andre Carter behind those guys. Specifically Marcus Davenport. He's the X factor on this edge group and just this overall D line, and even a guy like Dean Lowry as well. Like the 2 new additions that they just have to improve this Vikings run defense and just overall defense. If they can somehow stop the run and allow Marcus Davenport and Daniil Hunter to pin their ears back and get after this quarterback, this could be a great group. Specifically Daniil Hunter, I think he's going to remind people a lot of who he is and who he was before the Vikings, kind of switched to that 3-4 last season. I think Brian Flores is going to have Hunter absolutely humming this season. I expect double-digit sacks at least for Hunter next year. But the linebacker spot, sadly, no Ivan Pace is not starting, not just yet at least. It is going to Brian Asamoah and Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks, I expected him to start. You obviously got to have a veteran out there. I didn't expect them to roll out Asamoah and Ivan Pace. But Asamoah, I'm very excited to watch him play. He didn't get a lot of run last season, but he was the 3rd-rounder, super athletic, super fast linebacker out of Oklahoma. I mean, he's an absolute dog, and he hits really, really hard. So I'm excited to watch him play. But Ivan Pace specifically, he is going to start soon. Everybody pump the brakes right now. I know a lot of people are getting upset, oh, how could they not start Ivan Pace? He's going to start soon. Everybody just needs to, take a deep breath. The Ivan Pace show will be coming to your screen shortly. Who knows? Maybe Brian Asamoah has a bad drive, and Brian Flores just said, Pace, get in there. You're calling plays because he was wearing the green dot during the preseason. We will get to the cornerback room and the safety room in here in just a second, but I got to tell you guys about our proud sports book, BetUS. If you guys go to chatsports.com/bet and use this promo code right here, chat125, we will give you guys a 25% deposit bonus. What does that mean? Put $100 in, they'll give you $125 free to play with. You can bet on the Vikings to win the NFC North. They're plus 270 right now, so if you put $10 down on that and the Vikings do win the North, they'll give you $27. So head to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code right there, chat125. Kick it to the corners now. Byron Murphy, Andrew Booth, Caleb Evans. It's going to be a lot of Murphy and Evans here. Listen, not a deep room, man. Not a deep room whatsoever. I mean, Najee Thompson's a special teams guy, so you're really rolling out here with only 4 corners in this matchup. A lot of it's going to fall on Byron Murphy. This is just overall, a big-time game for this group because I think it's a good test. You have Mike Evans, if he is going to end up playing. We know there's obviously that drama around him, but they still got Chris Godwin. They still got some dudes that can make plays. So I think this is a good first test for this unit. I will be curious to see what they do with Murphy. Obviously, since Murphy can hop in the slot, play really wherever, if he's going to be following Chris Godwin, or maybe if Mike Evans plays, do you put a guy who's a little bigger like Booth on him? Just going to be overall curious to see how they play. But Byron Murphy, man, I'm excited to watch him play. He was the number 1 corner free agent this year. Again, another slept-on move from the Minnesota Vikings. So this corner group is going to be a good first test, but definitely a big-time game because, hey, you got Philly next week with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so that's definitely going to be a challenge. But staying in the secondary, heading to safeties here, no Lewis Cine or Josh Metella starting. I know. It's Cam Bynum getting the start next to Harrison Smith here. Listen, the Vikings, they kept 6 safeties. That's the most out of any team in the NFL. Keeping 6 safeties is absolutely insane, but they got Lewis Cine, Jihad Ward, Jackson behind him, and Josh Metellus as well. But overall, expect a lot of 3 safety looks. This is Brian Flores' MO. He's been doing this dating back to New England, obviously when he went to Miami as well. So even though like Josh Metellus and Cine aren't technically starting in this game, I do expect them to get a lot of run. Obviously Cine being very versatile. You could see him in the box. You could see him running deep zones. Very similar to Harrison Smith. We could see Harry coming off the edge or hopping in the box as well and playing almost like a linebacker safety hybrid. So expect a lot of 3 safety looks. I mean, you keep 6 safeties for a reason. You're not going to only run 2 safeties the entire game. You're going to want to see a lot of those guys out there. So expect a lot of 3 safety packages for the Vikings week 1 versus the Buccaneers. But speaking of that game, everybody, who do you guys got down in the comment section? Let me know your thoughts. Type V for the Vikings or type B for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me know what you guys have in the comment section. I'm fired up. I better see about 2,000 V's down there. But let me know who you guys got. We'll finish off the show talking about the return men because obviously Kene Wangu is on IR, so he won't be the kick returner. Kind of sucks there. But it is going to go to Ty Chandler. So Ty Chandler, even though I don't think he'll get a lot of touches in the run game, he will have his chances to make some plays in the kick return game. But in the punt return game, this is the reason Brandon Pohl made this roster. This is the reason the Vikings signed him, dating back to the days with Kevin O'Connell. He's going to be the punt returner. See if he can break one. See, punt returns are very rare in the NFL nowadays. He actually did have one in US Bank Stadium 2 years ago, fun fact, so against the Minnesota Vikings. So maybe he can kind of hop into that mojo, hop into that juice a little bit and get one this week versus the Buccaneers. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. If you guys want more Vikings content on your Twitter feed, hit me up at Pat Seeps. I'll put that link for you guys in the comment section and the description of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time.